Hi, welcome to episode 1, Ground Zero, beginning with a first step on a journey that will take us all many, many miles together. If not me, then who? If not now, then when? I gave a TED Talk on that so many years ago, and I have to tell you, the minute you put yourself out there in any sort of big way, like a TED Talk, a place where you have to put a stake in the ground, and I did. I put a stake in the ground and I said, if not me, then who? And if not now, then when? We are the ones we are waiting for, but why are we waiting? This dissonance that has such a profound anchor in all of us. That's what the JOJI Conversations are going to explore. We are going to drop in to that deeper level conversation that's happening below the chaos of everything around us, but this quieter place, this place of inquiry, this place of curiosity about what's happening right now in the human story. So, JOJI Conversations, the joy of joining in. That's, you're going to hear me say JOJI a million times like it's I hate to use old language, old construct language, but a torture drip, a persistent heartbeat, drumbeat, if you will, of inquiry about the human condition. It always has come around to this place of wistfulness, that we could engage with the human experience through a different lens of perception, a lens of love, not a lens of fear. And the JOJI Conversations are going to go deep in the heart of that inquiry, that juxtaposition from the old story to the new story, from everything that has come before this moment to everything that is in pregnant gestation, chrysalis cocooning, deep inner self-awareness, awakening, coming forward in this moment of yes to the human experience. That's what's on the table. We have not yet fully consented to the human experience, and the invitation to consent is right there in front of every human being. And your level of awareness to the power of that consent is the journey home, is the invitation of soul. And there are breadcrumbs being laid in the field before us to see, to notice, to become aware. And we are, with this spring equinox, heaven's cross opening, tuned to the rhythms of new birth. We truly are. We are nervous system tuned to the feeling of new beginnings. There's a tension, there's an energy, there's a joyful inquiry that I want to invite you into. If not me, then who? Every single one of us has beautiful light codes that we have been holding deep in our consciousness, deep in our well of trust, never letting them go because they are so precious, so innocent. In a world that denies the power of sacred innocence, that place, that pre-wounded, cynical state that we are in, that we don't even trust, that we are capable of something better than how we're showing up. So I went all over last year and I did this thing called the JOJI experiment, and that'll be one of our future conversations. But the main takeaway from the experiment was there is a universal longing, aching, existentially painful awareness that we are not meeting our full promise as beings of love. I went away in 2018 and I went on this sacred pilgrimage walkabout, and I'll talk about that in one of our future conversations. But one big piece that resonates so deeply for me that I am willing to put myself all in on the quest to get to the heart of what I witnessed when I went up to total strangers and I said, do you believe we could live in harmony? And you can imagine what RV parks are like. They are a microcosm of the cultural expression we are in. There were big, bold signs of who we are, meeting each other in the forest, like recognizing our nervous systems are fried and we have to unplug, and yet we bring all of our ideologies, all of our ideological supremacies to those remote locations. Just saying, it was fascinating, and I'll unpack more about that journey later on. It almost ended my marriage, so that's interesting too. But I went up to total strangers. I had a little cannabis on board because that's my get Edie out of the way medicine. Gives me a little courage to do really big things with my heart, my mind, my body. So I'm going to talk more about cannabis too. We're going to up-level our relationship with that sacred plant medicine. But it was what was right in the moment when I went up to total strangers and said, do you believe we can live in harmony? And every single one of them said, I'd like to. Holy shit, I'd like to. Every single one of them. Hold that possibility for a moment, that we cannot agree to agree about anything now, but on this one thing we agree, that we would like to believe that we could live in harmony. And then there was always the inevitable but. I'd like to believe we could live in harmony, but. And that's where the wounded cynicism shows up, in that but. Discounting the belief that it's possible because we are so steeped in a malware of fear that has been passed on for generations. So the but always has to do with something outside of ourselves, but for those people, but for those beliefs, but for this place of limitation that is so baked into our belief system, so baked into our imaginations. Our childlike innocence is the corruption of our imagination to forever be slanted towards, as Einstein said, you get to decide if this human existence, if the universe is friendly or hostile. See, that's where free will is truly free, is in the choice about the story you want to tell, about every moment that you get to be here. To fully consent to the human experience is to become a storyteller, moving from our woundology to our mythology, and we will have a whole conversation about that one too. How we keep looping around the why, and in that place of life happened to me, I'm a victim, we rob ourselves of a potentiality of a healed state individually and collectively, and it's the collective movement that joy of joining in movement, that I'm hoping others will come sit by the fire with me of this breath, the fire of life, this place where we meet each other. And I'm going to talk about breath and how we're launching a breathtaking movement of love. I have a version 1 of the app, just as I had a version 1 of the question. Do you believe we can live in harmony? I'd like to, but ... Always about the other person, never about self, never about self-awareness. And in that moment, we recognize how deep the level of self-abandonment is that we are awakening to. So some call it apocalypse, some call it heaven's cross, some call it astrological alignment, some call it it's about fucking time. I tend to be in the it's about fucking time school of truth, that we wake up and we meet each other in this shameless healing bridge. And I'm going to talk about that in these JOJI Conversations. So many different maps and models to share, to collaborate on, like noticing there's code adjacency all around us. Each of us has a unique signature to bring to this, we the people, in order to form a more perfect union, communion of souls, we the founding humans of the new story. This is as significant a moment in our shift from a fear-based construct to a transitionary construct. I think the United States and democracy-minded love is the answer, not fear and scarcity, but love and abundance. That's the polarization. When you understand that, you understand why this next rewrite of question number 2 of the healing conversation. Do you believe we can live in harmony? I'd like to, but note around I'd like to, the universal flame of hope that is waiting to be blown upon. And as I breathe, you breathe, the molecules of trust begin to move outward in this butterfly effect of love. So I'm not just creating an app, we're creating, because I can't go any further without more help. I'm just laying it out there. This is a me to we movement. I'm trusting the universe. I'm trusting my own heart. If not me, if not now, then how can I avoid myself any longer? I'm a bridge builder. It's what I do. It was a survival skill as a child, and for me to heal, I must claim it as a superpower. So we're going to talk about what that feels like to claim one's authentic expression. As a storyteller, we are all storytellers. I'll talk a lot about storytelling the day Mom died. Truth will become lies, lies will become truth, and it's in service to helping us reattune to our inner guidance systems, to find the truth in here, to feel it through our nervous systems, to allow our nervous systems to be our choice, our free will conscious choice. with every turn-by-turn navigation of this human experience. To fully consent to the human experience, you have to feel the agency of consent. You have to want to be here. You have to fall in love with trust. You have to fall in love with life. So you have to create a life you can fall in love with. And we are the ones waiting to do that. What are we waiting for? I've never been a very patient person, and the universe taught me hard and fast that I had to shift my lens from patience to constancy, to be that drip of trust, a conduit of trust. A believer in the universal experience of the universe congeals around brave choices. The joy of joining in is making really brave choices. So I did. I said, do you believe we can live in harmony? I'd like to, but ... And I listened and I listened and I listened. And it always came down to, are you willing to fact check your fears? Are you willing to go behind the ideology, the beliefs? So the question morphed from, do you believe we could live in harmony, to this, what would we have to believe about each other to live in harmony? And that became the toe in the door. What felt like a fortress of fear and armor, there was an opening. There was a, what would I have to believe about you? And all of a sudden, the mirror of my story became real in the moment, and our separation dissolved. And I watched hearts soften and the ideology fall away. The more, but what is beneath that? What is beneath that? What is beneath that? And the universal language, the not middle ground, because we're so far apart. We're going to have conversations where we are so far apart, where I am going to invite not middle ground, because that's based on an old story, that's based on an old who to blame, who to shame, who to hold accountable for how we ended up in such a state that we're in, recognizing that it's not middle ground or your ground or my ground. It's a higher ground. With a universal, we will agree to agree on this one place of truth. We will make it the central tenet of our big toe. We're going to have conversations, lots of them, around big toes, TOEs, theories of everything. That's the icing on the cake, the gap between knowing that we're beings of love and what the reward is for that. Like, we're dopamine addicted animals. Like, how do I get more love? And that's the theology of now. That is the we-ology of now. To go from me to we, to move together, we have to be willing to talk about our beliefs, because what we believe about each other is a programmed malware of fear handed down, ancestral baggage landing on our shoulders collectively, and we can feel it. There's pain in our bodies, our autoimmune illnesses, chronic disembodiment of these beautiful sensory creatures that we get to inhabit. What would we have to believe about each other? And I will leave you with this, that if we can come to agreement on that short list, we have an opening, a doorway, a portal to move into joyful conversations about how do we go from fear to love. And this transitionary period has something I call the 90-10 rule as an undergirding physics of shift. See, I'm all about the mechanics of shift. How the recontextualization of an event creates grace and soft landings and better boundaries. And that's what we came to learn, is how does love manifest in matter? Starting with the breath. And the question we have to answer in these conversations, in every single episode of the JOJI Conversations, is who do we want to be next? Do we want to live in harmony? We'd like to. I heard that. And the JOJI experiment, everybody said, this is great, Edie. We're ready to join in. What are we joining in on? What's next? See, there is a tension that we need to run through our bodies, an energy that we need to fully engage with, not from a place of anxiety and fear, but as a contraction and expansion, a movement of the human collective consciousness, and rather than be afraid of it. Coming out of the building, there's a horrific scream, and a woman passes by and she sees all these people standing around and wonders why nobody is going in to find the woman screaming and help her. Why isn't anybody helping her? And she's panicked because she can feel the resonant scream in her own body. She can feel that primal scream of, this is not okay. This is the end of me. To stay in the state that I'm in is the end of me, that I must shift, I must morph into the next version. Who will we be next? I believe that is the quality of question we have to be asking about every broken aspect of our old construct. Not focusing on who to blame, who to shame, or the gamesmanship. Oh my God, the political gamesmanship around gaming and shaming the human condition. All of it is going through an apocalypse, a revelation. And we no longer have the stomach, the nervous system, the intellect, the self-aware intellect to tolerate the current construct. Really sucks when you realize you are the author of your own misery, and then when you figure out that you have agency over your own misery, and then you see what's happening around you. I meet with brothers and sisters, and we're going to have so many conversations with them too about the beforeness of living in a world of trauma drama to the afterness of claiming some peace and sovereignty, and more to the trueness of what it is not sovereignty having to claim boundaries from an oppressive force in this world, but instead a place of wholeness and balance between the me and the we. So we're gonna breathe together, and we are gonna have some conversations, my love. And if you are a cannabis person, I invite you to drop in with me through that lens. And even if you aren't, you have an endocannabinoid system within your body ready to receive the energetics of this medicine. Whether you ingest it through phytocannabinoids or you drop in and are activated at the endocannabinoid level, these are healing conversations, and I welcome you. This is an invitation to experience the joy of joining in. May it be so. Aho.